what's up, man? It is the Ace Michael Show. I'm Ace Michaels. Happy to be here with you. Happy to be anywhere these days. I'm at, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm happy to be in life, dog. Like, I'm so happy to be breathing, walking, expressing. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I can't do it no more. You know what I'm saying? So take every moment, live it. That's what's happening. So my guest today was taking every moment, was living it, and then something weird happened. Something happened on the way to the fair that changed her life forever. Welcome to the show again. DANI May Red is with us. DANI, what up, girl?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What happened to you?
Um, I um I live in a neighborhood. I've lived in this neighborhood for over 11 years now. And it's a neighborhood where everybody knows everybody. My neighbors know what I do for a living, and so they look out for me, and I look out for them. And so much so that, like, when they watch like a story of mine or something, like they'll like hit me up and they'll be like, hey, like, I noticed that you weren't home, like, is everything okay? And or I've had, like, wood delivered or something, and they've, been at my house to make sure that, everything's on the up and up. Or if I have photographers that are shooting me at my house, like, they, I'll give them a heads up so that, if anything sketchy happens, that, they know that, somebody's supposed to have like a heart out at a certain time, and if they run over, like, they'll show up. We just keep an eye out for one another here. And there's 7 little kids on my block, and they all play together. And through the pandemic, we got even closer. And the little kids love that I have a corgi, and so they would rush over to my yard, and is Minnie May home? And I would just open my door, and obviously keep a social distance, and but my dog could play with them. And so this one house in particular is 2 houses down on the left hand side of me, and there's a family of 4 that lived there with 2 little kids. And so I knew them, and I was close with them. And so I had been traveling because that's what I do a lot as a model. And I had gotten home from Los Angeles, and I had noticed that there was no cars in the driveway, there was no trikes, no nothing. And that their garage light was on, and that their blinds were closed. And I was like, oh, I'll keep an eye on our house. And I'm busy. And so just, while I'm, going out that direction, I just, peek over, and I was like, for the next 2 weeks, I was like, huh, their light's still on, their yard is starting to get overgrown. I'm like, they're still gone. And on the 3rd of this month at 11:30, it was, in the 90s, it was really hot. And I was headed to go see my horses, and I saw an individual behind their home. And he was dressed in all black with a hood over his head. And I was like, "Oh, that's not my neighbor. Like, who's that?" And so I stopped my car, and I said, hey, rolled down my window, and I said, hey. And the individual went behind the house, like, just whoop, popped back, hidden behind the house. So I put my car in reverse, and I backed up further to get a better look, and then yelled out, hey, I saw you. And then the individual came out from the distance that I could see him better, and he was like, yeah, what's up? And I said, I'm just wondering what you're doing at my neighbor's house. And he said, I live there. And I said, no, you don't. And he said, yeah, I do, and called me a name. And so at that point, I said, well, unless you can prove it, I'm going to dial 911.
Mm.
And so he said, go for it. And then went back behind the house where I couldn't see him. And, never entered the house or anything like that. And so I did. I called 911. And about 2 minutes after being on the phone with the 911 operator, he started filming me. And this is all spiraled, and the rest is all for the world to see. It's now trending. Um, the cops were called. I mean, the cops showed up, and his partner came out of the home and was, just as confused as all of us, like what's going on. And then, he said to his partner and called me another name. I was like, this bleep it bleep called the cops on me because I'm Black. And so this got turned into a racial dispute and has been portrayed as such. And so now all over the internet, I am being accused of being a racist. I don't know what to do.
And you mentioned some vandalism before. When we talked on the phone, you said something about something got vandalized, somebody's shop got vandalized or something?
Correct. So as of the first hour that the Instagram post was posted, I started receiving threats. By that evening, I had received death threats. The next day, I had a hair appointment already scheduled with one of my girlfriends who owns a luxury hair salon. And I told her what was going on, and she said, and I was bawling, I was hysterical, like I couldn't even like park. I was a wreck. And she said, Danny, darling, she said, just like Audrey Hepburn, all you have to do, she's like, put on a smile, put on your lipstick, we're gonna do your hair. Don't let them see how much this is devastating you. Let's do a story, post it on your feed. Don't let them win. Like, and meaning all of these people that were threatening my life. At this point, the next day it had gone to Reddit. And so I was following, her advice, which I still believe is good advice. And for anybody that's struggling out there, uh, in this particular case, it hurt us both. Um, I posted that story, and the next day when she went to open her shop, her salon was vandalized, and uh, she was approached on social media, being told that she was associating with a racist.
Right. Um, the first thing is wow. That's the first thing is wow. I know that it's very upsetting to you because we spoke earlier, and I could hear in your voice that this is a world shaker. There's so many elements of it that I've had to think about, and I just want to share my experience with it, if it's okay with you and
Absolutely.
with the audience. So we have a studio in a building that's downtown, and downtown is a sketchy neighborhood. That there's no two ways about it. Most places, you're a model, so most of the photography studios, they say, yeah, we're under the bridge downtown. You already know that's kind of sketchy. There may be some homeless people down there. There may be some people trying to rob you, trying to do worse. You never know. So you keep your guard up. One day, I came to the studio, I unlocked my door, and there was a man in the foyer. He was already inside the building. So somehow he'd gotten in the building, and he didn't look like he belonged in the building. Now, why do I say he didn't look like it? Because it's our studio. So he's not carrying a bag with clothes in it. He's not carrying a guitar. He's not, he's not bringing drums in. He doesn't belong here. Clearly doesn't belong. Now, he happened to be a white guy, and I'm a Black guy, right? So I asked him, what are you doing here? And he said, oh, I'm here to see your neighbor. Well, I know my neighbor, and I know that he's not here to see my neighbor because my neighbor's door is locked, and his office is closed for the day because I know my neighbor's schedule. So I said, no, you're not. What are you doing in our building? As it turned out, he's a homeless guy and he wanted a place to sleep. So he had snuck in when somebody else was going out. That let him in the foyer. That's why he was hanging out there. He was hoping to go to sleep. Now, I didn't call 911, not because I felt like there was any particular reason other that he's non-threatening. He didn't call me a name. He didn't refuse to divulge information when I pierced him. Yes, he lied to me, but I figured he would have lied to me. So one thing about that scenario is I felt that if I had called the police, being a Black man, that I would have to justify to the police why I called the police. More than
Right.
just taking him away, they would be looking at me like, so let's see your identification. Who are you? Why are you here? Do you really own this studio? Are you really Ace Micheals from the Ace Micheals Show? So
Right.
I just didn't call him because it's a big hassle, and I was like, whatever. Right
Right.
now, I've had all day to think about this situation, and I'm no judge, I'm no authority on any of this stuff. I'm just
Right.
giving my 2 cents. To me, what you did was completely justified. I mean, completely. And I'm not saying that because you fine as hell. I'm saying that because, dude, somebody is walking around your neighbor's house. You know what I'm saying? You never seen this person before. It'd be one thing if you had seen them at a function. Maybe they were having a barbecue one time. And, oh, that's the dude from last 4th of July. Okay, I get it. Whatever, dude. Hey, what's up, man? But in this case, you don't know this individual, white or black or purple or whatever. You don't know him. And he's
Right.
wandering around your neighbor's house, and you know your neighbors. And you know your neighbors don't generally associate with a hoodie wearing individual. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
what's really going on? And I
Right.
don't think it's out of the question for you as the neighbor to say, hey, excuse me, the Jones family is out of town. Who are you?
Right.
And I don't think it's out of question for him to, rather than turn it into an episode, to have just said, hey, my name is, and I'm here. I just purchased the house. I'm going to be your neighbor now. Who are you? Maybe you want to come by sometime and have some lemonade, whatever. Even if he never intended to have the lemonade, I think that that's just common courtesy
Yeah.
to say, by the way, this is who I am. This is what I'm up to. See you in a minute.
Yeah.
The filming aspect, by the way, people, it's illegal to film somebody you don't know and use that, post it up on the internet. You have to sign a release to film anybody doing anything anytime unless they work in a public field like a police officer. It's okay to film a police officer in most states from a certain distance while he's doing his job because he works for the public, right? But private citizens, no, you're not allowed to film private citizens and post it up on YouTube just because you think it's cute, just because you think it's funny. It is actually illegal. So, right there, I mean, if you wanted to, you got a lawsuit that could happen. As far as this racism thing, I'm Black. I get it. Yes, there is racism. We live in a world where there's police brutality, there's racism, there's rape, there's war, there's Bitcoin bandits. All this shit happens for real.
Yeah.
But I don't see the racism in this case. Now, I say again, if you'd have come up to him and you'd have been like, look, you N-word, if you don't get your coon cotton, da la 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 la,
Yeah.
okay, that's a different story. If you're on
Yeah.
video throwing out the racist slurs,
Yep.
okay, then it's a racist situation. You still might not be a racist, but those are just the words you used at that time. That's still, it paints an ugly picture.
Right.
But for an individual who's not necessarily doing anything wrong, I don't think he was doing anything wrong. If it was his house or whatever, he had the key to the house. He wasn't really doing anything wrong, but he was irritated that you asked him the question. But
Right.
you're entitled to ask him the question because you live in that neighborhood. He does not, right? So far
Right.
as you know. So you just want
Right.
to know, like, dude, what's up? Why are you, walking around my neighbor's house? Who are you? What's up? I don't think you were wrong to call 911 because we live in a world where things escalate so quickly that you have to call 911. Like, hey, what if he'd have pulled a gun? And by the time you'd have thought, well, let me get my phone, you were already shot. Now, some
Yeah.
people watching this are going to go, come on, Ace, why you say he going to pull a gun? Because he a black man?
No,
No, anybody
no,
can pull a gun.
that's
Pulling
right.
a gun is not, that's not a black thing. You
No,
know,
that's right.
you don't know what his intention was. You
Right.
asked him what his intention was. He answered you back with a curse word instead of just answering you back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't see the racism in it. Not at all. Not at all. There's a true story. I was in Big Bear, where I love to be. I used to live in Big Bear. And the internet higher up on the mountain wasn't working. So I drove my car down to Starbucks, which is right next to a US bank. And I got the internet from the Wi Fi off the US bank. So here I am in my car. It's early in the morning, it's like 7 a.m. And I'm doing my work on my laptop, sitting on my lap in the driver's seat of my car. And a white woman comes by and she kind of looks in the window and I waved at her. I said, hey, good morning. She didn't wave back. I was like, hey, whatever, it is what it is. I didn't think that she didn't wave back because she was white and she doesn't like to wave at black people. I just thought she's white.
Right.
Just something I noticed. I couldn't
Right.
notice anything. I could have noticed she had big webbed feet, right? But I noticed she was white, right?
Right.
Was what it was. About 5 minutes later, police car pulls up and they ask me what I'm doing in front of the bank at this hour. I said, well, I'm just checking my emails on my, I'm using the Wi-Fi illegally. Is that illegal? Yeah, it is illegal, but but it's not a big deal because we all do it, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
cop says, well, a lady called us. She said she was concerned. This is a true story. She said she was concerned because there was a black man sitting in front of the bank and he had a laptop and she thought you might be robbing the bank. And I was like, wow, wow. And y'all could have just told her on the phone that, ma'am, that sounds ridiculous. We're not sending a car out there. You've lost your mind. He's robbing the bank from the driver's side of his car with his laptop. And
Right.
you think he's doing that? Why? Because he's a black man. Okay, I got you. Which in the history of black people, I don't think that's ever happened. So I don't know where you even get that it could happen today,
Right.
but I
Right.
did.
Right.
So I left that situation. I feel that that was definitely racist on her part. That was definitely her, at least, even if she's not a racist, that was definitely at least her stereotyping me as some kind of a master criminal living in a James Bond society where I
Ha
could
ha ha.
tap into, you know, today the bank is going to be robbed by black men.
You need a white cat on your lap, right?
Yes, and you'll never stop me, Bond. You won't find out, right? So she had this whole
Right.
fantasy plan in her head when actually all I was trying to do was check my PayPal, if anything.
You were looking at my account, weren't you?
I
You were
was.
like,
I was
what has
hoping I
Danny
could tap
posted
in, yeah,
today?
tap into a Karen account and get that Karen money in my bank account. But so what's the point? What's the point I'm trying to make with all this? We've gone too far. That's the point. We've
Yeah.
gone too far into this claimability society. Like everybody's got to have a claimability agenda. You can't just be a neighbor girl looking in on something and curious. You got to be a Karen. Oh, snap. Here comes this Karen. She's going to say that I'm trying to break into this house. Well, is that because the behavior that you're exhibiting looks like somebody breaking into a house? I mean,
Right.
come on, dog.
Right.
So when this happened, what did the police say? Obviously they didn't arrest him, right?
Oh no, no, no. The police just came. Hold on. And just one police officer came up to me, another police officer came up to the couple, because at that point, his significant other was out of the house, and talked to them both. This is all on video. Um, and so the conversation between the couple and the officer is on video. The conversation between myself and the officer is not. The other officer is not. It was, it couldn't be more simple. I mean, my conversation with the officer that was speaking with me was just like, so what happened, and I was just like, I've lived here for 11 years, and I, saw this individual in 90-degree weather wearing all black with a hood over his head behind the home. And I thought he was, breaking into my neighbor's home. I didn't recognize him. So I dialed 911. That simple. And then, when I realized that, when I saw his partner come out of the home, and he's filming me, apparently, there's been a misunderstanding, because they wouldn't have done that if they have a lease. Um, so, uh, and then,
And by the way, wasn't this in broad daylight?
yeah,
So, I mean, I mean, it's not saying that people couldn't break into a house in the broad daylight, but it is a little questionable that there would be a break-in happening right in front of your eyes in broad daylight. I want to go back a step to Danny May.
not lately though. There's been so much crime in my area, and it's being hit literally like when people are at work. And
Okay.
so when it's happening, that's prime time right now for my neck of the woods.
Okay. So I want to go back a step to Danny May Red. Okay.
Yeah.
So people need to understand this about Danny May Red from my perspective. I've known you for a long time. I even when I didn't actually know you, I followed you. I stalked you for a long time. I have a photo album of probably 300 Danny May pictures from the different interviews that we've done. And I don't see any Confederate flags in any of those pictures from all those years. I don't see you at any type of rallies or promoting any type of, like, you didn't say, oh, Trump poured gasoline on those kids. I think that's great because they was colored. Nothing, nothing, nothing over all these years on your social media where you have the right to post anything. I've known you from when I was in Big Bear, which has been at least 8 years. I've lived in Las Vegas for 8 years. So I could say I've known you for 10 years, a decade. Honestly, I've known you and known of you and followed your work. And I don't recall ever once in all the time that I've known you seeing one thing that set the red flag off in my mind that, what's up with this shit? So again, I wasn't there and I'm not an authority anyway. I'm just a guy hosting a podcast show. Who cares what I think? But I think there was no crime committed. I think to start filming someone that you've agitated, and you purposefully agitated them, you didn't have to call them a name out of character. You didn't have to start the whole scenario. In my history of life, I've sold solar. You guys see all the time my little ads about solar, solar, solar. That means I go door to door and I knock on people's door and I introduce myself. And sometimes people are rude to me. Does that give me the right to call them the B word? Does that give them the right to take my phone out of my pocket and be like, oh, you walking me off the grass, huh? Uh-huh, 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 uh-huh. That is where we've become a society that is not focused on the true problem. The true problem is racism. Racism is rampant, but that's not the solution. The solution is not to look for every instance that you can and be like, wait a minute, are you racist? Come on, dog. Real. And if you were, so what? You're still in the wrong because you're on some property that you didn't seem to own. Somebody asked you about it. Then you go and flip off the handle. Well, you must be a racist. Really? Well, you must be a thief. What are you doing? Just identify yourself. Ain't that big a deal. I don't really care who you are, to be quite honest. I'm headed out to see my horses. You know what I'm saying? But you could have the kindness to say, by the way, I'm so and so and blah blah blah. Okay. So let's say they filmed the video, and I understand I'm a black man. Maybe they thought you were going to call the cops and there could be a beat down, that could be worse, somebody could get shot. Cops got a bad reputation. I didn't make this reputation up for cops. Y'all cops, y'all fucking up. Anyway, maybe it was for their protection. They're like, okay, well, let's film it. That way we have a record of it. We can say
Yeah.
we didn't hit her. We didn't do anything to her. It was just verbal, whatever. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
But then why put it up on the internet?
Yeah.
Unless you're intending, again, more malice. You're trying to say what exactly? What? What
Right.
are you trying to say? You're trying to say, pick on this individual, make this individual's life hard because she told, I don't know the guy's name. I'm not going to say Tyrone because then y'all really going to be on my case. Because she told Ace to get off the property or she called 911. So now you want to ruin her life and you want to vandalize her friend's shop or whoever vandalized her friend's shop. Guess what? That's a crime.
Yeah.
So you're on the wrong side of the law when the police pull you over, you get out of the car and you start to run, and then they shoot you in the back because you started to run. Well, what else are cops supposed to do? Why are you running?
Right.
Why did you take the taser out of his hand? Why did you take the gas off his little his little utility Batman belt? Why did you take it out and start trying to spray him with the pepper spray? What are you thinking except I want some bullets in my ass? I want to be dead today. Because these cops, if they don't kill me now, they will take me down to the station and they will beat my ass. So what are you doing? You don't want to get ass beaten? Don't run from the cops. You don't want to get shot? Don't turn your back on cops. When they tell you to stand still, stand still. It's not that complicated, right? I don't care if you got a warrant. If you got a warrant, it's because you did something that you didn't pay off. And guess what? Now it's payday. You go into jail for the weekend to pay off that warrant. I don't know what to tell you. It ain't the cops being racist because they served you your warrant papers. You the one got the warrant. I've had a warrant before. Before you go there, yeah, I had a warrant. I got a ticket in Elko, Nevada. I forgot to pay it. It turned into a $300 ticket. I didn't even realize it. The cop stopped me on a different citation. He pulls up my record. He's like, "Hey, you know you got a warrant for your arrest?" I'm like, "No. Why would I have a warrant for my arrest?" He goes, "Yeah, I guess you got a ticket. You never paid it. Now we got to take you to jail, so you have to pay it." All right. Am I going to argue with him? Am I going to sit there and call him racist? Am I going to take the film? It's retarded, people. We got to be accountable. Oh, now you're going to be mad because I said retarded. It is retarded, dog. Anyway, you got to be accountable for yourself in these situations. What the guy did at the very, very best was rude. It was rude. He didn't have to turn it into anything like that. And then he has his so-called girl, and she's turning it into even more. And then you put this video up on all these different sites. Why? The time it takes you to put those videos up on the site, I highly suggest you use that time. Go to the Civil Rights Museum instead. Why don't you send some money to Emmett Till's family instead? Why don't you send some money to, you get where I'm going with this? There's
Yeah.
other things that are more constructive that you could be doing than trying to ruin the life of some white lady that you want to prove to the world for what purpose. She's white and she's racist. Okay, if she is, and what? You still were on the property unannounced. You still got the cops called on you. The cops didn't come there and lynch you. So I don't really see the racism there. Is that the end? Did I say it all? Is that the end? Poor Danny. Well, I was going to say, but I'm no longer a single man. I was going to say, you could prove to everybody that you're not racist by dating me. No, I don't know. I think I think it's one of those things that's just going to boil over. But I'm really glad that I got the call, and I'm really glad that you came on the show because I think we're getting out of hand with some of this stuff. Like, yeah, man, gay people have rights. Black people's lives matter. Yeah, maybe we need to let trans be able to vote and marry each other. And all of that is great. That's all human rights stuff. But to me, you haven't crossed the racist line until you start lynching somebody, until you start chasing somebody home like the guys in Florida did. And they're like, oh, he's jogging through our neighborhood. Let's jump in the truck, grab the shotguns, grab the camera. Let's follow this guy and let's give him hell. Well, now you've crossed some serious lines, and yeah, you are a racist if you're doing that because he's jogging through your neighborhood and he's black. that's a different story. There's no reason for you to grab shotguns just because he's jogging through the neighborhood. There's no reason for you to do anything except wave and be like, hey, get your jog on, brother. You know, anyway.
Right.
Danny, how do we find you on social media? We want to follow you, we want to be fans.
Just simply Danny May Red, DANI, May like the month, and red like my hair.